All right, hey B-siders, welcome, welcome. Here is another guest interview, and with a face we've already seen before. It's the lovely Nat, one of my dear friends. Hello, Nat.
Hi.
And we've had this wonderful idea because we had so much fun on the first recording. We had this idea that we have to hop on a second one and talk about how we actually met and through who, because that was through music and through a band. And funny enough, there's obviously a lot of connection, emotional and experiences and everything with it. So we thought, well, we just hop on and we have another chat. So yes, here we are, aren't we, Nat? How are you going?
Hey. Good, good. Excited. I think this is going to be fun and very nice to go walk down memory lane. More
Yes,
so about you and me.
a trip down memory lane. Yes, exactly. So let's just dive straight in. Let's not muck around and let's
Sounds
go
good.
for it. Okay, so who we're going to talk about today is one of the boy bands that is out there. And no, we're not talking about, I wouldn't say the Beatles are a boy band, but anyway, they always been classed as one. But it's the New Kids on the Block. And before anyone goes, oh, just stop, okay? Just stop. We're not crazy. We might have been a bit crazy blockheads back in the days, but now we're not. But we just want to talk about the positive impact that they've actually had in our life and the fantastic experiences we've had as well, and who we've connected through their music. So it could be anyone else. It could be, I don't know, one of the heavy metal bands back in the days, or it could be another singer or artist. So just because it's the New Kids, it probably goes for other artists out there too. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, where are we going to start? Are we going to go way back and talk about
Ooh.
when we were little?
I was going to say, when we were tiny people.
Yes, tiny, crazy people. Well, I'm curious to sort of find out from you, Nat, and that you could share about, when did you first hear about them? What was the song you've heard, and kind of what was going through your head and heart, I
hmm
suppose?
Um, well, when they first initially came on the scene with their first EP, I was way too little to have even comprehended who they. I was only 4. So at that time, it was very much, I think whatever mum exposed me to would have been what I would have seen. But when they released the album Hanging Tough, I was 6. And at that point, my ritual every weekend was to watch Video Hits, which was a music show that showed video clips every weekend. And even from when I was very little, because mum exposed me to a lot of different music, like Video Hits was the coolest thing ever. And I remember I was 6 years old, I was little, but it was, I remember seeing the video clip for Hanging Tough, and it caught my eye firstly because I think they were kids themselves. And so I think being a kid and seeing kids doing this to like a real poppy, boppy, fun song, it just instantly grabbed my attention. And, there was little me in the living room trying to dance with them. And it was just, I think it was that connection of, I felt like I could relate to them because, they were kids being kids, but they had put out this music that was catchy and it was fun, and, you could sing and dance to it. And then I remember, because at that point, I was allowed to get pocket money if I helped mum around the house and everything. And I had saved up a bit and she had to go do some shopping. And I remember she took me to, and this is going to show my age, she took me to Brash's, which doesn't exist in Australia anymore, but she took me to Brash's and she said, with your pocket money, what do you want to buy? And I remember I stood there, and I remember at the front they had a display case of all the brand new cassettes that had been released. And it was cassettes. And I'm like, I know, and we don't even talk about CDs anymore. This is going back further than that. And I remember standing in front, and because they had been so popular and obviously had blown up, one of the first like front-facing cassettes that was there was the Hangin' Tough album. And so I remember little 6-year-old me stomped over to the display, and the first thing I, without hesitation, picked up Hangin' Tough and then trotted over to the counter and like looking up at mum as if to say, I'm buying this. And with my pocket money, I bought Hangin' Tough, and it was the best investment I ever made as a 6-year-old.
Oh God, that's hilarious. Just won't hear you my story about that one. That's gonna be embarrassing.
No such thing.
Oh dear me, that's so cool. I just imagine you as this tiny little tot walking up with this, like, spring in your step. I'm like,
oh yeah, I
so
thought I was
cool.
the coolest. Yeah, I was the bee's knees, because look at the album that I'm buying with my money. Like
Yes.
it was very important.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. I love that. That's so cool. And I'm just kind of trying to imagine you as this little tot, Oh, that's awesome. Well, mine was a bit different. Obviously, I'm a few years older. Oh my God, that sounds
only
horrible.
a little bit.
Only a little bit. But I remember I was about 11-ish. And it was The Right Stuff. I remember the video coming out. And back in those days, it was MTV in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing those guys like just having a blast, dancing, singing. And yeah, like you said, the song was really sort of, poppy and groovy, and they didn't look bad either. I mean, 11, 12, you're going into puberty, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, who are they? And I don't know, I can't remember if I actually was able to catch the name of the band, whatever, but I do remember we used to have this weekly teenage magazine called Bravo, which was like, I don't know if you had anything over here, like Smash Hits probably.
Oh, Smash Hits, TV hits, you name it.
Yep. Yeah, sort of just aimed at like the young people, teenagers. Mm-hmm. And there was this tiny little write-up saying something along the lines of, new sensation from America, and it was literally a screenshot of the Right Stuff video with them in it, and I'm like, I cut it out, and I was obsessed from then. And I do remember because I was like, oh, I've got to have the album. And my mum and I went, I think it was Thursday night shopping, which was late shopping back in those days, and we walked into a store like a record store department from a big shopping center, so to speak. And they had, I'm going even way back than you with the cassette tape. They had the album.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was there. And I was so shy back in those days. And I'm like, Mum was like, that's the guys, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, are you going to get it? No, I'm not. Why not? I don't want to. So my mum literally had to grab the album, go to the counter and buy it for me, because I just was too shy to buy it. And I remember to this day, my mum said, I walked up, put it on the counter, about to pay for it, and the guy looked at the album, looked at my mum, and went, you? Like he was actually making the connection, like, you're buying this for yourself? Okay, that's a bit bizarre. Not realizing I was literally standing in the corner. Yeah. So I remember that, and that kind of was my start with the New Kids, having that, and then it just went from there, obviously.
Yeah.
It just went from there.
It was like a massive snowball, because I feel that from then, like anything that I could get, it was on my wish list. Mm-hmm. So like I remember, not long after that, with the Step by Step album, there was the VHS that you could get. And I remember like begging Mum, like, please, 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 please. And like in my household, you had to earn, like you didn't just get stuff, like you either had to do well on a school test, or you had to do chores and stuff. So worked bloody hard to make sure that I got that VHS. But when she got it for me, I swear, like I watched that on repeat. And then when the Greatest Hits album came out, and then they had the VHS of the Greatest Hits, and it was all the video clips, it was like constantly on repeat. You'd watch it, and then you'd sit there and be patient, like hit rewind, and like you're watching the counter on the video player going back so you could hit play all over again. Or it would be, you had that one song that you loved and you remembered where it was on the video, so you keep an eye on the timer, so that way you'd rewind and know when to hit stop and play again. And it was just like, it became it's funny, like boy bands really are this interesting phenomenon, and they do create this, I don't know, there's just this sense of you become, I guess, borderline obsessed. It becomes like it's your whole world.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were definitely that for me when I was little. You know, I grew up with them, really.
Yeah. They came into my life at a time when my world kind of fell apart. My parents got divorced when I found them, and for me they were like almost like a comfort blanket in a way.
Yeah,
I was able to escape the world, and it was a happy world, you know. It was
and I was
fun.
about to say, it was positive, it was fun, it was, you know, it's bubbly pop music. How could it not make you feel comforted?
I know. And then you also had obviously the love songs where when you're like a teenage girl and it's your first crush, oh my God. The hormones are just ridiculous during that time. I mean, looking back now, I look at myself and I go, really? But then you got to be gentle on yourself and say, well, you know what? It didn't hurt, you know? It was a good time. I mean, I've met so many amazing friends through the New Kids back then and even now. And we just had so much good time, you know. We went to New Kids parties organized by other people, and we even tried to get a fan club up and running, like with 3-4 people in different cities in Switzerland. So it was actually a positive influence, even though people sometimes thought we were like completely nuts. I mean, my bedroom was covered in posters, even on the ceiling. It was just bizarre, but it was all positive, you know. It wasn't. I mean, there were obviously incidents and where even I had to step back in that moment and go, well, what are you doing? I mean, there's some fans that were literally almost too obsessed for my liking, where it went into the step where you go, he's mine, not realizing he will never be yours. It's a crush. And even subconsciously, I think I knew that's just a crush and you'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
It was just a fun time to just experience all these emotions and having the music there as well to just be like the soundtrack of that moment in time for you, you know.
100%.
Yeah. Do you remember your first concert?
Yes, because we're going to go back to little Natalie again. When little Nat, her heart was broken by her mother. So when they did, so they only toured here once when I was a kid. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was in association with the Step by Step album. But anyways, they announced the tour. I was very excited and I wanted to go because, you know, hello, Blockhead. And back then I was the Jordan girl and I wanted to go and see Jordan. So, you know, Mum, please take me. And rude, she told me I was too little to go to the concert. And she said no. And we had a family friend who went, and Mum thought it was good enough for her to go to the concert, buy me a tour program and like a bit of merchandise and give it to me the next day. And I remember going, it's not the same thing. Like, I don't want the tour book. I didn't see the concert. I was so upset. I have never been like, little me was just like stomping around the house and couldn't go to the concert. So I then had to wait until I was an adult to see them for the first time. Now, they were supposed to tour. I remember the first time it got announced. I think they were supposed to come out in 2009. And anyways, that concert got cancelled and postponed or whatever it was that they said. It wasn't happening. And then I was like, oh my God, this is like little me all over again. My dreams have been shattered. They were supposed to come out. And here I am like grown up and, you know, no New Kids. And then down the track, they re-announced that they were coming back. So the first time I got to see them was in 2012. And I don't regret it because clearly I was old enough to get the ticket that I wanted. And I made little Natalie's dreams come true because I bought myself VIP gold tickets, which meant that I got to meet them all. And I'm glad that I did it. And in a way, I'm kind of, not that I think I wouldn't have appreciated seeing them when I was a kid, but I think seeing them as an adult, it was kind of nice that it was kind of like me making a dream come true for myself. And so I was kind of like, I don't know, chuffed for myself in that moment that I was able to do that. For me, something that I always wanted to do as a kid that I wasn't able to. I was kind of given the opportunity to make amends for little Natalie who was angry.
Oh no. That
But yeah,
reminds me, yeah.
that was the first time I saw them. So I never got to see them as a kid. But yeah, as a grown up.
Yeah. As a grown up.
As a
Yeah, I
grown
think
up.
you probably, like you said, you probably appreciate it a bit more because you're not sort of hormone driven.
Yeah, and I mean,
You know?
granted, I totally get why my mum said no because I'm pretty sure majority of the tickets when I was little they were general admission, so like I wouldn't have been able to see anything, and like when you're
Mm.
tiny, and I'm pretty sure mum also just didn't want to sit through a 90-minute New Kids on the Block concert. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that was what it was. It wasn't so much that she didn't think I could handle it. I just think she didn't want to see that, which is fine. It's fine.
Oh God. No, my mum was completely different. She went.
Cool.
She went and she had a ball. But yeah, it was 1990. Was it what? Hey, no. Yeah. Oh God, I'm getting the date mixed up now. Let me think. Anyway, doesn't matter. I remember it was the 6th of May. That I do remember. And my mum's like, we'll go together. Don't worry, we'll get a good seat. I'm like, no, I've got to go. So after school, I went home, chucked it on, went to the concert on my own, had the worst seat ever because I couldn't wait. My mum had
Yeah.
the best seat, so everything, because she went later. And she was with all the parents sort of on the sidelines, This is a big, like the Hallenstadion in Zurich at that point was rather large. And yeah, she liked it. I mean, I loved it because I saw him. I was right at the back, but it was really cool. But yeah, but it's all a bit of a blur because you just sort of, I was in this kind of state almost, like it's just like I said, the hormones took over, excitement took over, and like you said, in a way, I enjoyed it, but I didn't
Mm.
because you sort of not be able to take it all in and
Yeah.
really savor the moment. So but yeah, I was so glad they actually came because a lot of stars at that time, they just left Switzerland out a lot of the times because they looked at it as not worth the investment unless you were established somewhere like Bryan Adams or Tina Turner or someone along those
Yeah.
lines. They were like filling stadiums and concert halls, obviously. But yeah, it was but they toured Europe so many times and they only came to Switzerland once. So you had to either go to Germany or Austria or France if you wanted to see them, which
Right.
was a pain in the butt if you're a 12, 13-year old. Who
Yeah.
allows you to go, right?
I was going to say, as if your parents are going to be like, sure, off you go to the next country, or yeah.
Well, my mom was pretty cool. She actually let me go to Frankfurt, which was across the border in Germany. But
Uh-huh.
under the condition I went with my friend and
Mm-hmm.
her parents, and they sort of accompanied us. Funny
Mm.
enough, we were allowed to go on our own to the concert. They went for dinner somewhere, and then they just met us later on. So I'm thinking now, looking back, I think, gee, that was actually quite a thing. We were allowed to go on our own to a city we've never been before.
Yeah.
So that was yeah. But concerts, yeah, I have to agree with you. I think seeing them in 2012 was a much more enjoyable experience,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, because you can savor it more and really enjoy without being sort of this hormonal kind of person. So yeah. But yeah, I remember one song that always sticks in my mind a lot is If You Go Away. And I think you've got a different sort of memory to that than I have. And for me, If You Go Away was like a really sad song because at that point, the rumor was going around they're splitting up.
Mm.
And for me, it was like I was heartbroken. And I had this song on repeat. I know on repeat meaning on a cassette tape that I've recorded 90 minutes. It's just the one song. Looking back, you think why? But that's just what you did. But yeah, I was really heartbroken. I'm like, no.
Mm.
And I think I've also realized at that point that part of my journey is done. This chapter is now closed, and
Yeah.
I've got to grow up. You know,
Mhm.
so that was kind of tough.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How about you? Do you have any different sort of takes on
Um,
that song?
that probably, to be honest, I think that's my all-time favorite song of theirs because I think it's the one that, I mean, not that I ever would purposefully skip a song if it came on to shuffle or whatever, but it's probably the one that if I go to play something first, if I'm definitely not in the mood for something boppy, it's the one that I'll play. And I think it's the one that I have, I guess, the biggest emotional connection to, not only because it did kind of seal the end of New Kids as we knew it as kids, but for me, I had just, it was a really nice memory for me from the concert when I did see them in 2012 when they did sing that at the show. It kind of just, I mean, I was lucky. I had really great seats and it was just really lovely to see them singing it. And anyone that they could make eye contact with, they did. So it was almost like that, I guess, coming home of saying, like, we'll never leave you if you never leave us kind of thing. And I think it brought that song full circle for me because as much as it had sad memories of when they broke up the first time, it kind of also has really lovely memories of the fact that as much as we thought that they had gone away, they never really did. And it also proved that, I guess, if you have this really deep connection to an artist or to a band and to music, there is that song that will always kind of keep that connection alive. And I think for me, it was that song. So then to see them sing it live and for it to have a new meaning, that it isn't just this sappy love song of, you don't want to lose, the girl of your dreams. It's more than that. Like it wasn't just about that. It is about the fact that, as fans, we are important to them and they do try to show that as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So for me, it stopped being that kind of bittersweet song of, I love them so much and now they're gone. Mm-hmm. That it ended up being a positive as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. I mean, even to this day, I still love them in a way. It's just changed. I think we've all grown up and
100%.
But I still appreciate them. And who can actually say that a band and fans they have that kind of connection in some shape or form? Some obviously closer than others because they're obviously more active in America these days, understandably. But yeah, who can say that you have this kind of relationship with between artists and fans. So
yeah, you can tell they made a very conscious effort to be as accessible as possible, really. Like even talking to, like, I've got a good friend of mine, she lives in the States, and I just remember even her talking about them, like in the height of their popularity. Even back then, they made themselves accessible because, like, she lived in Boston at the time, so she was a local just like they were, and they never behaved like superstars. So, like, I remember her telling me stories about bumping into Donnie, and he would never behave like a big shot and not want to say hi. He always stopped for photos. He would always say hello. And, every single one that she interacted with back then, they were great. And so I think when they did the big, like, we're coming back, I think they definitely made that conscious effort to still be as accessible as possible, or as, I guess, personable as possible. And I think that's the one thing I always did find with them, that they do make an effort to not only, like, appreciate their fans, but show their appreciation by being that way, which is, I mean, not everyone does it, and that's fine. You don't have to do it, but I think that's what sets them apart a little bit from, I guess, your everyday artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, really, when you think about it, Twitter became super popular in the beginning with a lot of it was blockheads because Donnie jumped on Twitter
Oh my
and
gosh,
that's where he
yes.
started interacting with everyone. And like that's where a lot of it kicked off
Mm-hmm.
because it was a perfect platform to be able to be like, oh my God, going to say something. And the likelihood that he will reply was
Yeah.
pretty high.
And that's where we
So,
met too, isn't it? On Twitter, really.
yes, yeah, it
We did.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember those days well. Oh my God. Yeah, it was, oh, you can kind of, yeah, you can almost chat to them and, they respond back. I mean, I've had a couple of DMs and things like that. So, like you said, it's just you're able to form a new connection and take it into adulthood. And I think that's really
Absolutely.
amazing if you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, wonderful memories. And then
Absolutely.
obviously the new music that comes out, I mean, it's still very catchy, very poppy, and I do enjoy listening to it. It's, if I feel like it, I'll just, like One More Night is a really nice song. I enjoy listening to that one. I like the remix. They're just fun. They're fun
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you just need a bit of fun in your life, not big lyrics that, means something really deep. You just want to just have a good time. And I think
Exactly.
that's how we met, and we always have fun if when we meet. Yeah,
Bit
so
hard now, but yeah.
yeah, we'll get out of this whole lockdown shebang at some point, and then we'll be able to meet again. So
Yes.
yeah, no, it's been, and I mean, you got to remember, I just thought about other songs sort of when we were chatting that kind of had a bit of an impact. And I remember when No More Games came out, the remix
Mm,
though, not the original from the Step by Step album. I really thought that was such a good positive message.
mm,
Even though I remember at that point, some people said, "Oh, Donnie's a bit arrogant, and oh, he wants to be a rapper, and he's not," and all this kind of stuff. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's a positive message that they were putting out there, saying,
mm-hmm,
"Stop playing games, be who you are, and be proud of who you are. And if you want to take us down, well, stuff it. We're not going to let you."
mm-hmm,
And for I think fans at that point, they were genuinely sort of 14, 15, 16 along those age in that age group. That
mm.
was a really good message to get across.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. And then I don't know what else. I mean, we probably could go into so many more
I just
things
thought, I
about it.
remember for me, I thought it was so cool. And I'll never forget, like, I was just like, oh, yeah, when they released Face the Music. And honestly, that album is probably, ooh, I would probably say it's my favorite album of theirs. But I love that, like, they took a break and then they came back and suddenly they were really rough around the edges. And that first single, Dirty Dog, and I was like, oh, they're bad boys now. And I just remember as a kid thinking they were the coolest and that video was the coolest. And just, yeah. And I think in a way, it was interesting that like that was the last album that they really did as, but like it definitely was rebranded at that point because it was NKOTB because they were, too cool to be new kids. But yeah, I do remember it, and I remember it being like so controversial at the time because they're not clean cut anymore. And I just remember thinking back and like it was so scandalous at the time, and yet I just thought it was so cool, so cool.
See that I don't know, I hate to say this, but I kind of already moved on at that point. I didn't even took notice of it.
Oh,
For me, that whole thing, yeah, I think some other things started happening in my life, so I kind of moved
mm.
on from that. But yeah, when I eventually did buy it, I was like, how could I've missed that? That is just seriously bad move. But yeah. And I do remember, it's so funny how they keep coming up in my life.
Mm.
I remember moving to London in 1999 and discovering Jordan Knight's first solo album. Then
Oh,
my life was
yeah.
never the same. Oh my God, there's songs on there. To this day, if I hear them, I'm like, I can tell you exactly where I was and what I was feeling.
Mm.
To this day. So it's just amazing how they're like this red line in both of our lives in essence, they just always seem to crop up nowadays, which is kind of nice. I wouldn't want to
Yeah,
have it any other way. So
I think so.
yeah.
And I think every like almost every kid kind of has that experience, like, and especially like if you're a young girl, you do, like every generation kind of has that boy band that they,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
cling to
Yeah.
and resonate with. So I don't
Yeah.
think that's ever going to go away. I think that every generation will have their special group.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny to see kind of that what came after the new kids as well, because obviously we both experienced the Backstreet Boys, we experienced In Sync and all that. And
Yeah.
I always remember I really enjoyed seeing both of them live. They're hugely talented, but in a way, you go back and you're like, it's not the same. Maybe because we were older, I was old at that point, and I've already gone through it,
Yeah.
so I didn't really want to get back into that, and I couldn't because I was, yeah, obviously older and other things were going on. But yeah, it's sort of kind of this first love you have, and
Yeah, like New Kids were always my first boy band love, but I'm not
mm-hmm.
gonna lie, I jumped on that Backstreet Boys train, like, and yep,
In Sync
toot
for
toot,
me,
I was yep,
yeah.
nah, yeah, no, Backstreet Boys, and I was like, yep, Backstreet's back, all right. And I remember it was just, and then I think because that 2012 tour was NKOTB, I was very excited because I was like, it was my two boy band loves coming together, but I was still more excited to see New Kids because I had seen Backstreet before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good to be able to see like the one true love
Yeah.
finally. And then I remember at the time, because like not only did New Kids offer like the meet and greet and VIP tickets, Backstreet Boys did the same thing. And I remember a friend of mine saying to me, "What are you going to do?" And I just remember looking, going, "I don't understand how this is even a question."
Yeah,
I just thought,
exactly right.
yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That was such a nice trip down memory lane. I think we could probably go on for
Definitely.
another half an hour, but I
Oh,
think we've covered the main bits, I think.
I
Do you
think
want to add
so.
anything?
Like, it's one of those things that, people always label boy bands and the love of boy bands as a guilty pleasure. I don't like that term because, as far as I'm concerned, why should I feel guilty for, enjoying something that's fun and positive? And I think
Mhm.
that's something that I would want to, you know, go back and tell younger me, never be embarrassed. Because, like,
Mhm.
I remember being in school and, the kids who didn't like New Kids on the Block or didn't like
Mhm.
boy bands, like, they would kind of look at you and be like, you like boy bands. Oh, what a loser. But
Yeah.
I just think, look at what it was able to do for me, having that love of this boy band, because not only did I get to meet great people like you, we became friends. I was able to meet great people overseas who I had never met face to face, but when I did have the opportunity to be, in one of their cities, it was actually the year after our concert here in Australia. They were so welcoming and just open and wanting to meet me in person. And I just kind of think, without that sense of community because of this boy band, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to meet people who did want to welcome me with open arms because I don't know, I think there's almost that sense of camaraderie with boy band fans. And I think it depends on the boy band, but definitely with New Kids, there's a sense of community that you do as much as you can try and welcome someone that, has that love for this group. And I think that they brought a lot of great things into my life. And it wasn't just the music or just seeing them in concert or whatever, is around them. It was other things as well. So I
Mhm.
think I have a lot of good memories because of them. And
Yeah.
it's not just, associated with whatever music clip it was or album at the time. Like they brought a lot of good things into my life.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Yeah, and I think for people on the outside at that point, it was really hard to understand. But yeah, I think they've definitely the impact they've had overall was just all positive. So if anyone says, "Oh, you're a blockhead or you're a boy band fan," so what? Have you experienced anything like it? If not, well, you know, um, how can you even say anything? So couldn't have said it any better than that. Well, short and sweet. Well, short and sweet. Yeah, that was a bit of a different episode for Living on the B-side, but I think it probably was needed in a way. Because I don't think we talk about the impact that a musician can have in our life for such a long time, and can help us through so many different phases of our life as well. So I think that's just the beauty of music. And if you have that, then grab and hold on to it and don't let it go, because it's a treasure. It's, you know, a gift. So that's probably my quick sort of message or whatever it is at the end.
I like that.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks, Nat, for the trip down memory lane. It was awesome. I think, yeah, we could have probably gone on forever, but we're trying to keep it short and sweet as much as we can. Yeah, if there's any other blockheads out there that have any sort of experiences to share, memories, you know, with regards to New Kids or any other boy band for that matter, we're very open to that, aren't we, Nat? We love any other boy bands or any other music.
Absolutely.
You know, just share it with us on the usual channels, and who knows, we might do part 3 about something. We never know.
You never know. Something, you know what, we'll probably be chatting one day and be like, oh my God, this is going to be a great idea. And then it'll be interview number 3. And it's just going to become a series of, you know, walking down memory lane with B and Nat.
Yeah, or a separate podcast. Anyway, for now, thanks for tuning in, for watching, for listening, and as I always say, keep on dancing, keep on rocking, and I shall see and hear you and talk to you in the next episode. For now, bye everybody. Bye.